Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope we have already gotten everybody on the platform to our event today. My name is Azhar, and I'm from MSTS Asia, Sdn Bhd, based in our HQ based in Malacca. And today, I think it will be a very wonderful day because I guess there must be a specific reason why all of you joined us today. And as I say, it's going to be a very wonderful event that we will have three gentlemen with me today who are all the subject matter experts in their own field. And today, the topic of our discussion for the next 1.5 hours will be the new normal for oil and gas industry. The future of safety through digital disruption. So that's going to be the main topic, topic of discussion for today. And later on, I will introduce to all of you the panelists, but these are all the three panelists that we have today. Cik Hakimi, Dr. Tarun, and Dr. Imran with me, and I will be moderating this so-called this webinar until the end. So again, thank you very much to all of you, and I hope that all of you has already familiar with the system, Microsoft Team. So we are using Microsoft Team today. So I guess I know that probably some of you are using a different platform, but I knew that there'll be some challenge to join us through Microsoft Team. But I hope that everybody is okay with that. So welcome to our event today, and I believe you are the best. That's the reason why you are with us today. And I hope that also after the event, you will become the best of the best. And thank you very much, Sisye, arigato gozaimasu, and also welcome to our event. And for those of you who actually joined, and I believe this is a one-way, that's why we call it a one-way webinar. So we can't see you, you can see us if we turn on our video and audio, of course. But at your screen, please take note that there is a button on the right-hand corner that you can actually post all your questions. And if, let's say, I would like to interact with all of you, for now, we don't have any other chat button, unfortunately, for Microsoft Teams, right, webinar platform. Probably after this, we'll so-called feedback to Microsoft about this feature. So this button of Q&A, we can use it for your question later on, because later there will be a session with the panelists on answering whatever question that you guys have. But for now, I would like to interact with all of you. I know that all of you are getting so excited. So I would like to ask this question, yeah? Where are you from? So because from the registration, we can see some of you are coming from Russia, from Indonesia, from Japan, everywhere else, and of course, mostly from Malaysia. So I would like you to use this button on the right-hand corner to post and write where are you from. If you are from Selangor, you put Selangor. If you're from Kelantan, you put Kelantan. If you're from Penang, you put Penang. And of course, you are from Thailand, you put Thailand. So let's do this exercise for a short while. So please go and write and tell us where are you from. I'll give you 1 minute, yeah? Okay, I can see some has responded, but please be familiar with the button at the top right hand corner, yeah, because later on I'll give you opportunity to ask question to all the panelists, and that would be the I would say the second round, yeah. And later I will share with you our agenda for today discussion. So please continue to write because there will be some delay, of course, when we do this, because I know everybody is dialing from everywhere else in the world. Okay, and of course, I hope that some of you may be working from home by now. So this is a new normal, and of course, because of especially in Malaysia, we're still on lockdown for a few states. So I hope that this is also a good opportunity, good time for all of you to be with us and also increase the amount of knowledge that you have, right? This is a good time. If you remember at the early stage of our so-called lockdown in March, right? Everybody actually stay at home and have access to all this kind of webinar, you know. So probably this is another wave, a new wave, third wave for especially for Malaysia. So I hope that you guys enjoy this session later on and will be a very fruitful discussion, yeah. And of course, I hope that also for those of you who have access to Facebook, please go into our Facebook, MSTS Asia, okay, and post your photo, the best ever photo that you can post today, yourself and us at the back. I'm not sure whether you can see that, but please take some photo of yourself, selfie, with a background of whatever image that you can have from this screen that I'm sharing right now. Please put hashtag MSTS Asia and hashtag MSTS webinar and hashtag new normal, yeah? And press the like button, press the share button, and of course follow us on the Facebook and also other social media. And there'll be a special gift, yeah, if let's say you can post inside our Facebook page, and Siti who organized this session for us, she will go and assess which one is the best post ever, yeah, and then we'll send you a special gift to your house after probably a few days. So I hope that you post yourself with the background at the back, you know, from this webinar, and hashtag all these three hashtag MSTS Asia, MSTS webinar, and also MSTS, the new normal, and like, share, and also follow us on the Facebook. But if let's say those who don't have a Facebook, of course, you can follow us in LinkedIn and also in Instagram. So these are the QR code, but Siti will also send to you now, yeah, to every one of you, the link to all this social media site so that you can know the progress of anything that we are doing here. All right. So why we are doing this webinar then? So these are two main objectives that I guess will be helping, you know, you as the audience and also participant with all of us here. So we believe that there are two main objectives. We would like to create the early awareness about the digital disruption itself, which can change the way we manage safety at the industrial workplace, including the oil and gas sector. So even though the topic will be focusing on the oil and gas sector, but we believe MSTS Asia has been around for the last 20 years, and we believe that we can actually learn, yeah, from the best practices, and also moving forward, what could be the new technology can be adopted as far as safety management is concerned. So I think the panelists later on will further discuss and also share with us everything related to the new disruption from the digital transformation point of view. And of course, the second will be to promote the interest for all of you, all of us here, to kickstart the next level of digital transformation process through the upskilling and proof of concept. So these are the two main things that we can do, you know, at early stage, where we upskill, reskill our people to have that kind of mindset and also exposure And then after that, of course, they can start on a small little project to kickstart their transformation plan. And of course, as everyone of us aware, we are in the stage what we call as fourth industrial revolution, right? It has been started for quite a while, but as far as the industry is concerned, I think in Malaysia, especially in this region, I would say that at the initial stage, we focus on industry 4.0 related to manufacturing sector. And then I think recently, I think the focus has actually go bigger and wider. And of course, today, as I said, we're going to focus in the oil and gas sector. What could be the new normal related to digital disruption in the oil and gas sector, with the main focus on safety-related management process. And this is our agenda for today. So I'm going to go through quickly. So after my session, I will have the panelists, the three panelists. Each one of them will have 5 minutes to present their presentation material. And also after this round 1, we will proceed to round 2, where I will pose a few questions for them to answer. And this question actually I have gathered from input from many parties, and hopefully the panelists will address all of them. And then at round 3, later on, when you post all your questions at the Q&A button on your screen, I will check, and then I will select, and then I will actually ask the panelists. So try to prepare the best, the hardest, the most complicated question for the panelists, yeah? Okay? And we'll end at 12 p.m. as per our schedule now. So just a quick overview, yeah, because of we mentioned about oil and gas. Of course, today I think you listen a lot more example, concept from the three panelists about oil and gas, because this industry actually involves a lot of high-risk activities, as we know, and also this industry also involves a lot of heavy investment, and of course it been located especially in the offshore side in remote and harsh environment, and we can see a lot of accident, happen in the last many years. And of course, if you can imagine, the ever world record of the worst offshore oil disaster, which was happened in 1988, killed about 167 people and also only 61 survivors. This was one of the big catastrophic kind of disaster happened. And we have still the world record of the largest accident happened in the marine oil spill, which was actually occurred in 2010. And another one just happened recently, a few days back, or 1 day or 2 days back, in Miri in Malaysia, right? On the Dayang Topaz vessel capsized with 2 persons died. So we will look into this, how could technology itself help to address the root cause of every accident which has happened, at the workplace. So this is the paradigm shift, on how we look things. Instead of just focusing on human factor, but what else we can do by adopting technology to eliminate the human dependent, towards a better safety at the workplace, and probably towards the zero accident that we always wish to achieve, So without further ado, let me introduce our first panelist who will discuss this topic. The first panelist will be Dr. Imran. He is the head of technology of PT Zebra Cross Technology Indonesia. And Dr. Imran, actually my good friend, we have been working quite some time, in the industry 4.0 transformation across the region. And he has 16 years of industrial experience, and he's working on readiness assessment for the industry 4, developing the technology roadmap, working in R&D of IoT system deployment, upskilling, reskilling, and also preparing the solution architecture, development of the system itself, related to Industry 4.0, smart cities, smart supply chain, smart construction 4.0, and etc. And now he's also looking into oil and gas as well, you know. And he is a keynote and plenary speaker for international conference, symposium in Asia Pacific region, and published a lot of articles. And in the past, Dr. Imran also worked as a technical advisor for the government, state government, and also federal in Malaysia. And also is now the associate professor in one of the university, and currently is the head of technology in Zebra Cross Technology Indonesia. So let me invite Dr. Imran, and I hope you guys enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
Hi, very good morning. Let's wait for the presentation to be on. My name is Imran, and I am currently the head of technology of Zebra Cross Technology Indonesia. I would like to thank Mr. Azhar as well as MSTS for giving me an opportunity to share some information about the current title of the top forum, which is the future of the safety through digital disruption 4.0. So whenever we talk about 4.0, it's basically industry 4.0, healthcare 4.0, supply chain logistic 4.0. In short, it's basically fourth industrial revolution. Next slide. So in oil and gas sector, there are some emerging and disruptive trends that we are witnessing since a couple of years, and those disruptive trends defining the future of oil and gas sector. And the most fundamental and important and core element that is basically changing the landscape is basically Internet of Things, which I have highlighted in the beginning, and it didn't reach the peak of hype yet. The disruption itself is slowed down because of the COVID-19 situation around the world, but still there is a progress going on. So IoT is basically reshaping the oil and gas and other sectors towards the disruption. Next slide. So this is the technology landscape of oil and gas, which is ONG. So we have an upstream, downstream as well. So in the upstreams, we have a sensors, and those sensors are basically communicating with this the humans or with the system and sending the data, producing the data to the cloud. And the cloud is basically used in storing the data, analyzing the data, and then providing visualizations for the oil and gas leaders, as well as automation, smart automation using AI machine learning. So there are a lot of basically real-time analysis, fleet management, and things are going on, but still it's in the process of evolution. Next slide, please. When we talk about ONG, it's basically divided into three sectors, which is upstream, midstream, and downstream. Upstream is basically the production and in operations. Midstream is basically on the field processing, field pipeline gathering, and as well as long distance transportation. Whereas the downstream is basically on petrochemical manufacturing, refining, logistic, marketing, and so on. For today, I will be focusing on upstream because that is a place where safety is required a lot. And if there is some small mishap happen, the impact will be huge. Just like Mr. Azhar mentioned just now, that yesterday there was an unfortunate incident happened in near Miri, where 2 people passed away, and then the rest were basically having a critical situation. Next slide. So there are many use cases around the world, which is basically in the form of digitalization in upstream, downstream, and midstream as well. And all of these initiative for the 4.0 is in process and giving a result. So in upstream, asset tracking, vehicle monitoring, remote video, so they can able to know whether there are some problems or not. Wellhead monitoring, site monitoring, and lone worker tracking. And important thing that I would like to highlight is this, that still it is in progress, because oil and gas sector is basically quite critical and the supply chain is quite huge. Next slide. So focus of the discussion that I have a small time, it will be only on upstream industry problem and solution. As you know, there are deadly incident happen. And then because of that deadly incident, there can be a huge loss in billions of dollars every year. So what will be the solution on that? The deadly incident and safety solution will start from the IoT. With the use of IoT, refinery can able to plan their shutdown, minimize their downtime, and improve their safety record. And accidents can be prevented. The main thing is people are the asset of the sector, any sector. So how we can able to minimize or eliminate the accident, it can be done through digital transformation. Next slide. So it was an unfortunate incident happened yesterday where 84 people basically had a mishap. Next slide, I would like to show a video on that, how dangerous it looked like and what should be the safety situation. There is no sound, but at least you can able to know about that, how basically the situation can deteriorate in the matter of seconds. So with this type of incidents, definitely there can be a predictive analytics in terms of weather conditions, as well as the monitoring of the level of the sea and so on. So upstream safety incident solution in the form of digitalization and Industry 4.0 can be shown in this slide, that in the exploration stack, you can able to have a geological data analyzing, okay, which is in exploration and appraisal. In terms of project stack, which contains concept development and project definition and execution, data modeling, that digital twin building, project predictive analyzing, and project data analyzing is basically the use cases for the oil and gas upstream. When we talk about drilling and well stack, this is basically the difficult part. The autonomous material transportation will be good. That autonomous vehicles or autonomous drones can be used to basically transport the materials, and there will be a remote surveillance as well as automated drilling. As you know, the drilling is basically very dangerous. And last, in the production stack, predictive maintenance, reservoir real-time yield monitoring, reservoir model real-time update, and remote surveillance are basically the use cases. You have to understand that IoT will be producing the data, and then it has to be transported. So you cannot use Wi-Fi or other technologies. You have to use LPWAN as well as satellite and cellular to transport the data from the production back to the head office in order to analyze the data. Next slide. So what is basically the solution and architecture in terms of technology? When we talk about in upstream, we have a reservoir model and digital twin model. And in the reservoir model, we have a data flow coming from the wells towards the refinery, and we can use remote surveillance in order to understand whether their conditions are basically bad or good. And we will be having a predictive maintenance, that maintenance can be happen even before any problem occur. And all this basically will be helped with the help of a sensors, and those sensors are basically sending a data to the cloud, where the data analytics, advanced analytics are happening using AI machine learning that will able to impact on the process measurement, economics, external data, and so on. So in short, it will basically impact the end to end, not only upstream, but also midstream and downstream. Next slide. So final slide that I wanted to show is that if you wanted to develop this kind of a solution in oil and gas, you must practice the agile organization, and you may need to have a technical architect basically to develop those solutions. So what are the solutions or use cases that you can able to have in your upstream? Number one is basically regulatory compliance to ensure the transparency and up to standard operations. Number 2, hazard management and worker safety, which is important in the terms of monitoring the atmosphere gases, anticipate asset failure, conducive to the explosion and oil spill, and basically security access control, facility management, and asset management. Still, digital transformation is a journey. It will take some time, but there are 3 important objective for the digital transformation. Number 1 is basically to increase the productivity. Number 2, the safety of your asset and the workers. And number 3 is basically have a digital ecosystem for better decisions. Next slide. So with that, I would like to end my presentation and thank all of you for your time for listening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Imran. Let me switch to the next slide, yeah. Okay, guys. What we discovered is there is a bit lagging, in terms of the connection. So I hope that you guys still able to follow us just now the presentation, because I think Microsoft team probably we have probably a big number of participants, and also we are connected to Facebook right now, Facebook Live. So we'll try to slow down the next presentation. So the next presenter is Dr. Tarun Sukhani. He is the veteran in the software industry, locally and internationally. And he is a speaker, presenter of the modern software development topics such as Agile, cloud, blockchain, big data, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. With more than 20 years of experience, he is a board member, senior executive architect, and developer across a range of verticals throughout his career. And he's also been involved in entrepreneurship and academia, founding 4 companies in Malaysia and lecturing at a number of local and international universities. And currently is the head of Abundent, a digital transformation and big data analytic company based in Kuala Lumpur, with branch office in Singapore, Indonesia, and the US. So hang on, I'm sharing the slide. What happened? Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce Dr. Tarun and his presentation on this topic. Back to you.
Okay, I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Azhar, so much for inviting me to this webinar. And of course, thanks to MSTS for sponsoring this event. And thank you to the attendees, especially on Facebook and here on Microsoft Teams. So yes, my name is Tarun Sukhani. I'm the founder and CTO of Abundent, as mentioned, which is a big data analytics and digital transformation company. And I won't go too much into it because we've already covered me. So let's go straight to the slides. So I wanted to focus more on the disruption aspect of it, of what's happening in oil and gas, and look at some of the macroeconomic indicators. So what's happening in the oil and gas industry in general is essentially there are 2 types of disruption at play that are squeezing the oil and gas industry. So one of the disruptions is a Big Bang disruption, which is what happened. Which is what happened in North America, in the last 5 to 10 years, which is essentially, Canada and the United States started to become more energy independent, right? So Obama, in fact, had that policy enacted so that they would be less dependent on foreign oil, in particular Saudi oil, right? And so as a result, of course, Canada, Alberta shale production kind of increased, fracking increased in the United States. And the United States actually, for the most part, achieved the goal of energy independence. But of course, that had an effect on oil prices, right? As we all know. So oil prices essentially collapsed. And actually just, I think, during 2020, due to COVID, it actually even went negative. So, these are not very good economic indicators for, oil and gas. The other type of disruption is compressive disruption, which is essentially decarbonization, the shift away from hydrocarbon-based, energy to look at other non-hydrocarbon-based alternatives. So now energy companies are under pressure to expand their portfolio, beyond just oil and gas. So this is, the two kind of main disruptions. Maybe we can go on to the next slide. So, how would oil and gas companies then deal with this type of disruption, right? Well, one way, of course, is to be reactive, right, which is probably not the best thing to do. But, this is kind of expected because there's so much investment in this existing infrastructure, and throughout the planet, both upstream, midstream, and downstream. This is a massive investment, right? And so shifting, even slightly is a very difficult affair. And so what we've seen happen, of course, in recent years are a lot of black swan effects, right? Unexpected events that have huge impacts, right, on the industry. And so COVID, of course, was one of them. But, there have been others, and there will be others. So, what has happened, for example, just in fact this year, is that solar essentially has become the cheapest energy generation option and storage option, primarily due to the advancement of battery technology and photovoltaic cells. So, and this is something that's just happened very recently. And if you look at what's happening with ICE, internal combustion engines, the inflection point is already there within 3 to 5 years, whereby electric vehicles will be better on almost every metric that is of concern, when it comes to transportation, right? So this puts additional pressure on existing oil and gas companies to diversify their portfolio. We've already talked about the financial implications, of this. The fact that there's been a disruption in demand. So so these are our concerns, right, in the industry. Next slide, please. So the question is, how do we retool this business model, right? So we have an existing business model within the oil and gas industry. We know that disruption is there. So how do we retool this business model? Well, for one thing, we need to tailor the asset mix, right? We can't just be investing in oil platforms and refineries. Oil and gas companies have to expand it to solar farms, wind farms, geothermal, wave-based, the list goes on and on. Small nuclear facilities. They also have to rethink the energy business altogether, right? What is the energy value chain and coverage across that value chain? How can we have more democratization of energy generation and storage? And how can oil and gas companies, in fact, lead the technology charge and actually design platforms for democratization of energy exchange? We also want to maximize today's potential, address inefficiencies in the workflows, reduce work, shift to a margin focus. We want to also rethink the operating models, right? Disrupt the current workflow through automation and machine learning, as was discussed by our colleague, Dr. Imran, and redraw the boundaries in terms of who does the work, right? Next slide, please. So there are two factors at play here. So one is hyperconvergence and the other one is hyperconnectivity. So first, focusing on hyperconvergence, essentially what we have is dark, right? So, and dark, it essentially stands for, blockchain, which is also known as distributed ledger technology, artificial intelligence, reality, which covers digital twins and everything like that, and even quantum computing, right? Or more advanced computing. And I think just recently, for example, the first commercial quantum computing systems were made available to the public, developers and so on and so forth. So, these systems are only going to become more, ubiquitous in the future. So that's one thing, which is hyperconvergence. Next slide. And then the other thing, as I mentioned, was hyperconnectivity. Right, and so that, yes, that does have to do a lot with IoT and 5G and all these other technologies, networking technologies. They can also include lo-fi as well, so like LoRa and things like that. So the point is that, we can have these devices, for example, buoys and, other types of sensors out, in the middle of the sea, to be able to measure disruptions, of course, in weather patterns and sea height, right? So yeah, so that that of course can be done, but it goes well beyond that as well, right? So essentially, robotics, for example, plays a key role in getting humans away from dangerous environments, right? So the more that we can introduce robotics into the workplace, right, into these type of dangerous, hazardous workplaces, the better it is for everyone involved. And there are some standards, of course, that are in place in order to do that. So, for example, everyone has heard of the ISO 9001 and 14001 standards, but there are new standards like the 45001 standard, which is specific to the oil and gas and industry and occupational safety and health. And so, organizations around the world are looking at, new converged ISO standards that take these different disparate standards and kind of combine them together into, one kind of set of best practices, right? In order to, of course, reduce the number of fatalities and injuries on the job. Yeah, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tarun, thank you very much for your valuable information and new term that we learned today. A lot of new terms that probably later we'll have a bit more lengthy discussion in round 2. Okay, so right now, I would like to introduce to all of you our third panelist, which is Encik Hakimi Nasir, the Quality HSE practitioner with 6 Sigma Black Belt and SHO and Certified CQE qualifications. Yeah, he has served various sectors, including semiconductor, disk drive industry, rare earth metal processing, and also the latest oil and gas. And he's also conducting a lot of consultancy work in the field of quality HSE, and he has served the international oil and gas company around the world in Malaysia, Iraq, Thailand, Myanmar, Australia, and Spain. He is also very effective, spread out his passion about quality and HSE across borders, and also right now focusing on digital transformation related to 4IR and also in various industries. It's not only in oil and gas. So without further ado, let me invite Mr. Hakimi to present his topic for today.
Okay, thank you, Azhar, and I would like to thank MSTS Asia for giving us this opportunity. Thank you to the other panelists, Dr. Imran and Dr. Tarun. Those are very good presentation. I guess the good thing of being last is that I don't have to speak too much because a lot of things have been covered by you guys. So, and as you guys could see, I'm the only one wearing a necktie. I guess I'm trying to compensate. I'm the only one with a title here. Everybody else is a doctor or a technical specialist, but bear with me, all right? I want to start by putting in context of why we are here today and why we are doing the things that we are doing. All of us, like in other countries too, right? We are supporting the United Nations global goals, as they are called. Right, this has been laid out by the United Nations to achieve a sustainable future for everybody. Okay, if we look at the advancement of protecting our people, we would be supporting directly three of the goals, three of the global goals. All right, namely goal number 3, good health. Goal number 8, good jobs and economic growth, and also goal number 12, responsible consumption. In all of these goals, the common ground is to provide green and decent jobs and quality of life to everybody. All right, and I think that in achieving this, immediately we have to focus on a few things when we talk about safety of people. Personal safety, process safety, which has been covered a lot by Dr. Imran and also Dr. Tarun, incident management, and security. Okay, next slide, Siti. Okay, let's first look at the pain points that we have now, and I'm sure this is the same pain points that everybody has everywhere in the world. If we look at the statistics published by the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, up till September this year, there have been about 152 fatality, and that was up to September. Now, since yesterday, we know for sure that we added another 2 fatalities, right? And if we look at the number of incidents resulting in permanent disability, it's almost 200. Okay, this is up to September, and the total accidents this year in Malaysia alone have been more than 5,000, and the statistics for last year, I think we had a total of about just a little more than 7,000 accidents, and we are in good progress to maybe beat that numbers. All right, okay, and then shifting to more specifically to oil and gas. Okay, if we look at our leader in oil and gas industry in Malaysia, Petronas. Petronas alone has recorded 7 fatalities this year. The biggest, of course, was from the accident in their petrochemical facility, the Petronas Aramco petrochemical facility in Johor back in March during the early days of the MCO. Right, that incident killed 5 people. All right, and this number is a dramatic increase from the 2 fatality that Petronas reported last year in fiscal 2019. Okay, and if we look at the IOGP, the International Association of Oil and Gas Producers, their statistics easily show that for the past 10 years, there have been more than 370 fatality cases, and this, well, actually fatalities more than that, right? But these 370 more cases are solely because of people's non-compliance to the life-saving rules. Okay, there are thousands of fatalities, but then these fatalities have been investigated, and the cause was because people haven't been complying to the 9 life-saving rules. Okay, Siti, next slide. Okay, so I think the way that maybe the immediate action that we could take within the next 5 years is we need to focus on something, right? And from the viewpoint of organizations and its people, we need to take maybe this could be a controversial statement, but we need to take that step, even if it's going to be a baby step, only focusing on a few things, but we have to do it. All right, I think we have to focus. We cannot ignore the culture, the way our people think about safety, especially, right? So we need, organizations need to focus on getting their people to get to that generative culture that everybody aims for. We could see gaps in industries nowadays. There are good companies who's there. Okay, the culture, the way they approach safety is generative, but there are a lot more companies and organizations that still far from being generative. Okay, and by having, I think, connected ecosystem, that's my 5th point on that slide, which means that we need to connect and we need to engage with everybody in our supply chain, in the ecosystem, to bring everybody up to the same culture of the best companies in Malaysia. Okay, because there is a saying that we are only as strong as our weakest link. So we cannot be happy. Good companies, strong companies cannot be happy with being strong alone. We have to guide, we have to help everybody in our ecosystem to be at our level as fast as possible. Okay. So, and then I think we need to refocus and go back to the idea of just like Internet of Things, right? IoT. We need to make sure that we risk manage of everything. Before we start anything, we need to start with risk management. I know that this has been a good practice by a lot of companies, but still we see gaps in a lot more companies that just started to look into risk management. Okay, and like Dr. Tarun mentioned, regulations. Okay, we need to have to demonstrate very good compliance to regulations, and that include the life-saving rules. And one thing that I think the oil and gas industry could learn from the manufacturing industry is to mistake-proof all of the possible risks that our frontliners are facing daily on their job. And maybe we could adopt the mistake-proofing method by adopting the Pokayoki methods. Nowadays, with a cyber-physical system, that is, I'm confused with the lines, with drawing the lines between physical and cyber world now, right? So we need to also apply Pokayoki in those systems, okay? In mistake-proofing the risk, and as some of you might have known, the very definition or the very basis of Pokayoki is to appreciate that human make error. Okay, it's human to make mistake. So the responsibility is on the management, the leaders of the company, to make sure that our system and our process will not allow people to make mistake. Even if they do make mistake, we won't allow that to propagate to cause an undesired event. Okay, with that, I think we need to cyber physicalize, or we need to digitalize at least the personal safety programs and activities, the process safety programs, the way we handle incident. Like yesterday we had that incident. I think it has been handled well by the authorities, including Petronas. Petronas was deploying, I think, 7 of their vessels to help out. I think it has been done very well. It could have been worse, right? So, but there are still room for improvement. Okay, and we also need to digitalize, and I mean, we also need to pay focus on security. Okay, both of the people and the cyber physical system. All right, and one thing that I would like to add in getting to the culture and awareness of safety in our people, maybe we need to relook at how we approach learnings. If currently we might have the mindset of we know it all, then we need to change. Everybody need to change to a mindset of learn it all. It's okay to learn, no matter if you have been in the industry for 30 years or more, right? It is okay to learn about the new technologies coming, and even other knowledge that we might need to have in order to keep our people safe. All right. If now we are we depend on planned programs by the organization, then maybe we could shift to a lifelong kind of learnings. If we are on periodic learnings with modules to go, okay, this is your first year module, second year, maybe we could go to our people's continuous learning at their own pace, right? If we are directing all of the learnings or modules and subscribing our modules to our people, maybe we need to now pass that responsibility to our own people, let them self-drive themselves to learn, right? And now we have homogeneous modules or learnings. We expect everybody is at the same level and put them into one class of maybe 20 packs and instruct e-learnings or whatever session that we might have. Then maybe we have to shift to a personalized learnings, and these could all be made possible if we enhance our learnings by e-learnings. Right? Okay, next slide. Okay, if I tabulate, again, I'm not a technology expert like both good doctors we have here, but I was looking at the life-saving rules, because that is one of the biggest pain point in this industry, that people just do not everybody, okay, but some people are still ignoring the life-saving rules. So remember the concept of mistake proofing that I mentioned when I mentioned Pokayoki concept just now. So we really need to take this compliance to the life-saving rules into our hands, meaning that into our systems hands, into our process. They have to be built into our processes. Okay, and we could employ the Pokayoki regulating function, either control methods or warning method, to make sure that our people are safe regardless of whether they wrongly make a mistake unintentionally, or they deliberately want to make a mistake. So that is the concept that we want to go for. And from this table, what I put in here is, if you look at the 9 life-saving rules, and on on the horizontal cell, you can see the first thing is actually Internet of Things. The second thing, the second row is actually augmented reality. The third row is unmanned robots, and the fourth row is artificial intelligence. And the way I see it, a lot of these technologies could be used to comply, to force our people to comply to all of the life-saving roles automatically by taking these controls into our hands, not in their hands. All right. Okay. Next slide, if I have one. Okay. So from the viewpoint, if you look at, okay, from the viewpoint of our frontliner, right? I'm giving you like an ideal case that I think we should have for our frontliner today with the current technology. I'm not talking about the technology that we might have 6 months from now, or even 10 years from now. I'm just looking at the technology that's available maybe since the last 5 years, ever since the IR 4.0 was being mentioned. Right? Okay, if you look at the life of our frontliner, they would start with checking in to work, and then our system will take care of it, get them on board into their job, and start to trace, okay, if this person valid to work today, and what kind of updates, or and then goes to the what kind of update for this person in his or her work role that we need to fit him today. There might be change that has been done, right? Or there might be procedures or templates that has been revised, and this person needs to know, right? Then he go to gear up, gear up with a smart PPE, connected, with physiological plus biomechanical plus work environment sensors to keep him safe. Right, then he would go to a toolbox meeting, right, where all the updates are updated by the artificial intelligence, looking at data, what happened yesterday, and what is relevant for reminders for today's work, right? Then before work, obviously he would have to apply for a permit to work. Then this would be handled. IoT would handle it. The artificial intelligence would look at, all the data and what has happened, whatever thing, whether to approve or not. Okay, then he would check out the tools to work. We have a lot of incidents where people use the wrong tool, or sometimes the tool no longer fit to be used. So we might want to use a smart drawer for that, right? Tool for the right process, and only the approved tools could be checked out. Okay, and who checked out this tool? Okay, then he would go on to execute the work, and all of the systems are running to make sure that our workers are safe. And remember that we have used the Popayoki method to mistake proof everything that he would face on that day, no matter whether he's doing confined space work, or he's doing work at height, or he's doing hot work, right? Everything will be taken care of by the system, right? And then he would check out from work where updates of toolings and of PPE he used, and the feedback that he could give in terms of what has been found or has been learned from that day. So I guess that's from the viewpoint of our worker, and I guess that's why we are here to discuss on how better to keep them safe. All right. So I guess with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hakimi. And I would like to remind to all of the audience, to update the Q&A section with all your questions. I've received quite a number of questions here for the panelists, but I'll save that for the round 3. And please do not forget to go and selfie yourself and post in our Facebook page. and tag us MSTS Asia, webinar MSTS Asia, and also hashtag new normal. And share and follow us, and also of course like our Facebook. Yeah? And if you're lucky today, City will send you a special gift to your house. Okay. And thank you very much again to all the three panelists. I think it's amazing, to learn a lot of new things. Even myself has been in this field for quite a while. I think the technology itself has actually been upgraded, updated, and also, of course, it evolved over time. And interesting to also look at how the technology will disrupt, especially the oil and gas sector, in terms of how we manage the safety, and trying to reduce the dependency of human to monitor, to manage, to comply, to follow, and etc. And hopefully the vision of having predictive kind of analytics, which can enable us to be more proactive instead of reactive, in terms of managing the incident, accident, the hazards, and the risks, at the workplace, especially in the sector like oil and gas. So I've captured a few key points from Dr. Imran. He was talking about a real-time system, a digital twin that can enable cyber-physical system. Dr. Tarun talked about a hyperconvergence of multiple technology that has to coexist at the same time. And also he's talking about the advancement of the technology from the computing itself, on how fast the computer can process a lot of data at the same time, real time, and also looking at hyperconnectivity of multiple assets, devices, physical objects, and etc. at the workplace, so that with the hyperconnectivity, we are able to address the pain point that Hakimi has also mentioned. There are multiple pain points that we have to also rectify throughout, at the workplace using the technology itself. So I would like to go into round two. So I'll be picking a few questions here, which I believe a lot of audience would like to know the answer. I'm happy to see we have participants from across the world. We have people from Canada as well join us today. So I'm not sure what's the time there now. But I would like to ask the first this question to all the three panelists so that we can have a different view, because it's not an easy process to transform an organization or a company. So the first question, a very basic question, is how do we start this transformation, and where do we start? So I would like to begin with Dr. Imran first to answer this. Dr. Imran, can you turn on your video?
Thank you, NG Azhar. This is a new normal. So in the new normal, with the COVID-19 situation around the world, I think the best way to start the assessment is basically do the readiness assessment. Readiness assessment basically help us in assessing in terms of people, process, and technology. And then it has about 8 thrusts and 21 dimensions that basically primarily used for the manufacturing industry, but I feel that it can be applied with little modification on the oil and gas industry as well, especially in upstream, midstream, and downstream. The second thing is basically having a compliance and policy in terms of technological infrastructure, in terms of energy blueprint, green technologies, and what will be the technological roadmap implementation, compliance with the people, means the upskilling, awareness, safety equipment, digital transformation of the workforce. So at least the safety issues and other issues can be minimized or eliminated. And lastly, which I feel is this, that investment is required, but investment in the form of phases, means that the first investment will be on awareness level, educating level on across the workforce, junior, mid-level, and senior level, and then moving towards applying roadmap drills and assessment on the programs. These programs can be safety and compliance program. This program can be digital program for the soft skills and some of the digital hard skill program for the workers, so they can able to utilize and be part of the industry 4.0 ecosystem in oil and gas.
Wonderful, awesome, Dr. Imran. So we mentioned about people, process, technology. I think that is something that the three key shift factor that we have to focus, regardless of what kind of industry. I believe it's not just about oil and gas. It could be any other sector like manufacturing, even services. I believe people, process, technology are the three key shift factor that we should start focusing on how to address the transformation roadmap. So the next question I would like to ask Dr. Tarun, yeah. As far as technology is concerned, Dr. Tarun, because there are so many technology, we talk about AI, and now we are talking about artificial Internet of Things, you know, and we are talking about a lot of other so-called technology has been which has been existed for quite a while. You know, we talk about even IoT. You know, even we're talking about so-called autonomous robot and drone and etc. But if let's say we are talking about transformation at early stage, what could be, you know, the top three technology that we should start exploring, you know, as far as the company transformation is concerned at the beginning? So I pass to you, Dr. Tarun.
Well, I mean, one of the, you know, probably low-hanging fruit, if you want to talk about it that way, right, is just compliance with, you know, PPE, right? So, and that can be done very simply through existing solutions in computer vision. You know, I'm sure people have seen videos with, like, you can tell if you're wearing a mask or not or whatever, right? We can do the same thing with whether or not you're wearing the correct equipment, right, for a particular task. So when you're entering into a particular task or a particular area, you know, you could just have the camera's position saying, are you, you know, donning the right PPE for this particular task that you're, you know, going into for on the oil rig or whatever may be the case, right? So that's kind of like a low-hanging fruit, just doing computer vision systems, right? Then, you know, the other things that of course can be applied, which may not constitute low-hanging fruit, but of course are technology related, you know, essentially is getting people to record more of these incidents. So I think there was something mentioned in the chat about survivorship bias, right? So, because, you know, people only report what is actually reported, right? So there could be a whole, you know, slew of incidents that are never reported, and you know, do we have a gauge of that distribution? Like, how many incidents are not reported as compared to what is reported, right? And so that is missing, right? And the question is, you know, can we leverage technology and policies so that we're getting better reporting, right? And so a lot of this stuff can be automated again through, you know, camera systems, and you know, they have these things called activity-based you know, computer vision, which is essentially can monitor, you know, it can tell what people are doing, right? And so if there's a violation, for example, it can actually spot it and report it right away. You know, oh, it's that this person is doing something dangerous or whatever, right? Or is outside of compliance. And so these type of activity-based monitoring systems, you know, while not low-hanging fruit, can definitely increase reporting, and also it can actually alert the person, you know, with their equipment, you know, that, hey, you know, you're doing something bad, right? So a lot of this stuff can be done, you know, in terms of the systems we have in place already today, right? So we already have activity-based deep learning algorithms that are doing that, you know, today. So, and I guess finally, you know, what I would want to say is that in terms of, you know, upskilling and reskilling, there's definitely a push towards more simulation-based learning, right? So, you know, doing just this pen and paper stuff and doing mock, you know, drills is, you know, there's a limit to its effectiveness, right? So so with simulation-based learning, where you're trying to simulate these environments either in VR or whatever, where you actually can actually simulate dangerous conditions, right? That would probably be a better alternative to what kind of training we're doing today, where we just set up a fake rig, and there's no water around, there's nothing. It's not very realistic, So instilling that fear in people, and measuring like what happens because fear is the biggest factor, right? So when people do the research, they realize that fear actually is the pertinent factor when it comes to human error, right? And then being able to measure that properly, I think, is critical, to reducing human error, right?
Okay, good. Dr. Tarun, thank you for your answer. So simulation-based learning, that's going to be one of the area that probably we at MSTS also will focus on this moving forward. We do have our own simulation-based learning as well in our program. So next question, the last question, basically to Cik Hakimi. Cik Hakimi, can you turn on your video, please? So you mentioned about culture, culture. I think one of the fundamental of the digital transformation is talking about how you actually develop a culture or mindset among the leadership team first. You come up with a good policy, for the organization to adopt and embrace the new technology, regardless whether oil and gas or any other sector in the industry. I believe culture is quite a very important topic, for management to address. So what could be the best approach in terms of creating that culture moving forward, so that the people within the organization actually have that needs and passionate about technology, so that they can so-called create that environment for their people in their organization.
Wow. Okay. All right. A question about culture. Thank you, Azhar. I guess the first thing that organizations need to do is they need to know what their values is, because that culture will come from the corporate value of the organization. So if keeping people safe by using technology is the culture that we want to go for, then that must be embedded in the corporate value first. So if the literature of the organization needs to be revised to add that value and make it very clear, then that needs to be done first. All right. Then, of course, once that values has been documented, and then the leadership will have to walk the talk. They need to create that urgency that demonstrate to their people day in and day out that, okay, this is one of our value, and we are pursuing this. We demonstrate this in every decision that we are making. We demonstrate this in the way we treat people. We demonstrate this in the way we report incidents, or taking actions on incidents proactively or reactively. So that would go a long way. Failure that I see in a lot of organizations that I work with is that normally the leadership do not walk the talk. Okay, you say that this is your values on your walls, on your web page, but in practice we do not show that, we do not demonstrate that, and our people will detect that easily. All right. So I guess that's the thing about culture. You need to start with a strong value, strong foundation in the organization, led by the leadership. In examples, in day-to-day things that they do, that they decide on, and this would be visible to the people. And give me 1 minute to address one of the comment by our attendee here. Thank you for this comment. Say, I think to state people don't follow the rules is wrong. Yes, it is wrong to say that people don't follow the rules. I hope that I did not say that when I was presenting. What I was stressing is that it is the responsibility of the management, of the leadership, to make sure that our process and our system prevent our people from making mistakes. Okay, unintentional mistake, even intentional mistake. I have been in the industry for a long time, and we did see some incidents where people intentionally do things. We are not sure why they do that, but my point is that we cannot blame human for making a mistake. That is the foundation of Pokayoki. That is the foundation of mistake proofing that I think everybody needs to go in, and it is the responsibility of the leadership to make sure that we provide this safe environment, safe process, no matter to whomever or whatever in their mind, all right? Because we need to give everybody that quality of life coming from the quality and safe job. Okay, thank you, Azhar. I hope that answer.
All right, Hakimi, wonderful, and thank you to you for addressing the comment or question or concern from the audience, yeah, so that we can address that immediately. So of course, yeah, we are looking into a culture that actually looking into how we can be more proactive and nail down to the root cause of every problem that we have. It could be a safety issue, it could be any accident, or it could be any hazard that we are facing, across the workplace. But the fundamental of problem solving is looking at the root cause of every problem, instead of looking just human-related mistake, what actually could really cause that human to have that mistake, for example. And through the technology adoption, I believe that could probably lead to eliminate the root cause of every problem that we have, because in the past, probably when we were handling all these kind of issues, we couldn't identify the root cause because of lack of data real time. So now I think with the real-time data, real-time connectivity, I believe this is a good time for every industry to adopt a new technology, and also doing a lot more value-added kind of problem-solving analysis, and that will actually eliminate the problem and at the same time eliminate the unnecessary costs and also non-value added tasks that the human have to do, and focus more on value added work. So I think we are almost about time, yeah, and I think we have actually I have actually summarized most of the question from the audience into my question to the panelists just now. But before we close our session today, I would like to have all the panelists, to share their word of wisdom, for everybody, so that we end our session and then we have something in mind probably to kickstart after this. So I would like to begin with Dr. Imran first.
Okay. Thank you, Inti Azhar. I think the final words for this session I would like to basically give is everything is dynamic. Okay, so we have to we are in a journey where we have to understand the implications of global economical effect, just like COVID-19, and we have to stay positive and optimistic in this basically a dark time. And at the same time, what we would like to do is we really need to do assess. We need to do self-assessment first before we proceed with the assessment of our team, our department, our organization. We need to assess ourselves first, whether we are in align with the change, the digital transformation ecosystem or not. And we have to basically upskill and reskill ourselves with this dynamic environment. And the change began from ourselves. Once we are changing, then the effect will be basically towards our team, towards the department, and this basically have a counter effect across the organization. Whether it is an oil and gas sector or any other sector, humans are the assets. Okay, fourth industrial revolution doesn't say that replace humans with machines. It's always having a collaborative. I always say to my colleagues and friends that fourth industrial revolution cancel the sea of competition, bring a new sea of collaboration. Those who will be collaborating with others will able to survive. And of course, survival will based on the fittest, and the fittest can be only if we able to embrace the strength of others and weakness and collaborate in this regard. Regarding the disruptive technology, everything is basically evolving. IoT is evolving, big data analytics, AI, machine learning, cybersecurity is evolving. And with this evolution, we have to understand whatever is relevant today might be obsolete tomorrow. And when we have this mindset, we must basically go for everyday assessment of upskilling and reskilling. And when we talk about upskilling and reskilling, my first priority will always be soft skills, because soft skills will be with you, like emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and others for the rest of our life. And the hard skills are important, but do understand the data ecosystem, because data is the new oil in today's world, and this data is leading towards a decision. So for it, this is a digital transformation. In short, is a journey from data, which has been produced by IoT, to the decision which is done by AI machine learning towards a betterment thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Imran. Wonderful. Data is the new oil. Yeah, it's a new gold as well. Yeah, back to you, Dr. Tarun. What's your best advice for today to the audience?
Well, I mean, I can only reiterate what Dr. Imran has said already so eloquently. But I guess one thing that I could add, if anything, to that, is essentially operational efficiency is the name of the game, right? And I think that post-pandemic, the goal should really be on operational efficiency and reducing paperwork and documentation, right? And kind of consolidating everything into easy to follow guides, right? And then of course technology is only an enabler, right? As mentioned, at the end of the day, it's the people that you have that ultimately determine your success, right? And if we can focus on making tasks easier for human beings, the risk and incidences of these type of errors will reduce. So I guess I can only reiterate what was said, but what I personally feel is that operational efficiency, simplicity, decentralization, empathy, these kind of characteristics will define the future of industry in general, including of course the energy industry. And just one more point, which is the energy diversity kind of equation. And so I truly believe that energy diversity is the way to go. And I think that's where the populace, the global population is really going as well and thinking about. So you don't want to go, we don't want oil and gas to be swimming against the tide, pun intended. But so we would want them to obviously take that into account as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tarun. I love that operational efficiency, is one of the area that probably we learned throughout this journey of new normal, during this hard time. So we have to be a bit more lean, on how we manage our operation through the technology adoption. So next goes to you, Cik Hakimi, maybe the final wrap up of our discussion today. Can't hear you.
Okay, sorry guys, sorry. Okay, so looks like everybody has said what I wanted to say, but I would like to take this opportunity to expand what Dr. Tarun was mentioning with that word empathy, right? I think it's very important for leadership to exercise or to practice empathy at this time with the COVID coming in, and we just have to understand the fear that our people are having now and the psychological impact on them, knowing, oh, this technology is coming in, right? There would be maybe redundancy in operations, and we have to meet that redundancy with reskilling and redeploy our people somewhere else. And we have to make sure that they know this, that nobody's gonna be harmed in any way, financially or especially in terms of safety or health, right? And of course, with job automation, what could we do to make sure that our people still have that job security, right? Dr. Imran was mentioning about collaboration, and yeah, he's on point. And when we do job automation, then the leadership also have to look into reinventing jobs, right? And go through reevaluating, optimize work, and reskill the talent. So I guess in our pursuit of technology, IoT, Internet of Everything, AI, whatever thing, we need to also look at what negative impacts this will have on our people, right? Psychologically, in terms of ergonomics in working with robots or with other new technology. So I think we cannot discount that importance of looking at all these concerns that's going to be lingering in our people's mind, because I think being stressful or being worried about the future will not be a good thing for our people. All right, so I think I would leave with that note. Thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful, awesome, guys. Thank you very much to all the panelists. I think we have at least, today, for a short time that we have, on this forum and webinar, at least it becoming a eye-opener for some of us here, and some of our audience, on how actually we look forward, especially going through this hard time during this new normal and this during this pandemic. So of course, in MSTS Asia, we actually have a layout, a program for every one of you to actually have the opportunity to come to our training center, as well as, there are a few more programs that we're going to offer together with our expert, who are also our panelists today. And of course, we are looking at training and learning program. We do have a certified and non-certified kind of program, and the latest we are looking into HSE 4.0 to actually support the overall 4IR transformation for the nationwide initiative. Of course, we are looking into partnering with our potential technology partner to create what we call a center of excellence into looking into the safety, of course, because our expertise, we have 20 years track record looking on how to prepare the survival and safety training for those people who are actually working offshore and also as well as onshore. And on top of that, of course, we are looking at all different kind of job level or different level in the organization, from leadership, middle management into the executive level, on how can we adopt different kind of skill set so that you can embrace the technology on your own, of course, at the end, the end outcome. And as far as different training program is concerned, in our MSTS, we do have safety survival, advanced fire, 4IR, HSE plus 4.0, and we do have our own digital e-learning platform that we already actually been offered to the public right now. And the latest that we actually has launched recently, the foundation of HSE 4.0 for the 4IR and the new normal, which is right now we're going to offer in next December. This is going to be online webinar because of the current pandemic. So this is going to be a one-day program equivalent to 4 hours per day. And right now we have limited seats. So if any one of you who actually joined us today, you register this by today before midnight, you will get a special discount from us, to participate or to attend this program, which is going to be on December 8 and 9. So please follow us and also please contact us after this. And of course, the upcoming training program that we will offer, we haven't decided yet, but this is actually going to be in our list soon. Data Analytic Masterclass Series for Industrial Application, Introduction to Artificial Intelligence for Safety Improvement, Smart Safety through Advanced Internet of Things Framework, and Development of AR, VR using Smart Glass for Safety Alerts. So these are just a few key programs that we believe, have the high interest from the industrial player out there. Of course, some of these training program or workshop, some of it will be conducted by a few of our, most of our panelists. That 3 of the panelists here, I think they are the subject matter expert. Of course, we'll announce that soon. And of course, in coming January, we are doing this webinar every quarter. So in the coming January 2021, there will be another webinar. The title will be The New Normal Hyper-Digital Era, Artificial Intelligence of Things for HSE 4.0. And we'll be announcing that for registration probably next month, so that you can join us in January, and we'll actually announce and publish the actual date for everybody. And last but not least, we would like to get your inputs of this webinar. So please help to fill out this online survey form before you end, and then we'll see on how we can improve. Of course, this is something that we never done that frequent before, but we hope to do it more frequent in the future. And we'll try to invite a lot more panelists, or could be the same panelists, and then we can have a better, much more so-called comprehensive kind of discussion and also forum. So on behalf of MSTS Asia, thank you very much to Dr. Imran, thank you very much to Dr. Tarun, and also thank you very much to Mr. Hakimi for your most valuable sharing information, knowledge, and of course, thank you very much to all the audience who actually joined us from everywhere in the world. Congratulations to all of you. Stay safe, stay home, especially for Malaysians who are actually now work from home in the red zone, yellow zone. So please, hopefully we'll go through all this together, and hopefully next year, 3 months down the road, 2021 will become another great year for every one of us, So stay connected, real time. Of course, digital transformation, this is just a new beginning for everyone. And there will be a lot more new things coming up and more new challenging coming out as well in front of us. So thank you very much again to every one of you. And I see you again in the next forum. And thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.